Designers, Angel here, coming to you from my living room, apartment living room that my wife decorated herself. I had nothing to do with it except maybe some of the artwork. So there you go. Today is part 2 of the God is a Designer series, and we're going to go over some design concepts, some apparel concepts for the alpha launch, which I'm excited to show. Want to show you all the pieces and let me know what you think in the comments. So I'm going to pitch it now to Podcast Pro Angel, right by the computers, that's going to do a quick overview of the alpha launch concepts. Check it out. Angel.
Thank you, Angel. This is Podcast Pro Bro Jogan, aka Angel. I understand you want to see some of the concepts for the GIAD project. I'm excited to show you. What we'll do is we'll go over some of the preliminary concepts that sort of got X'd. Not that they won't be made, they will probably be saved for a future date because there's a lot of them that I really like. And then I'll show you the alpha launch concepts, which these are the ones that we're actually going to send to vendors and we're going to get estimated. So excited to show you, talk a little bit about the process and how we came up with it, and hopefully you like them. So let's jump into it. I don't know why I'm so violent, guys. Let's do it. So what I wanted to do was put a deck together. This kind of helped me compile all my thoughts, the direction, the goals of the brand itself. So we'll go over the deck real quick. Once we get to the concepts, I will show the initial concepts, which is, you know, when you're creating as a graphic designer, you kind of go through like a process. You try to get all the bad ideas out of the way before you get to the good ideas. So there's quite a few concepts that I really like that potentially make it to maybe future collections, but for a classic collection, those are the ones that are in the actual deck. But first, let's talk about inspiration. I sent out the first communication email to everyone on the list, and this is it, the God is a Designer preview. So I sent just a quick thank you to everyone, and thank you to Chris Do, and talked a little bit about the alpha line. I gave everyone a code to get into the shop to be able to see it and give their feedback on this Google form, which we'll go over together in the next video. Not this one's going to be like 30 minutes long. And then the most important part is probably the aesthetics. As part of the process for graphic design and graphic arts, you usually start with a little bit of discovery or research, which you find references that inspire you. It's very rare for you to create something exceptionally unique. Something is always made out of something else. Usually you grab inspo and you remix it or make it your own, and that's usually how the process goes. We really believe that since the designer aspect is such a focal point for the God is a Designer brand, along of course with God and creation, we felt that sort of the tech wear approach will work really, really well. So that's why if you notice, a lot of the aesthetics is sort of very techy, very futuristic, and a little bit of retro as well. So as far as aesthetics goes, God as a Designer is inspired by quite a few different brands that we really like. A lot of sort of unorthodox artwork in locations that kind of break the rules of apparel design. Also, on a quick side note, make sure you check out the Future City Soundscape on Spotify. It's a Spotify I created myself, and the vibes are just very serious. A lot of sort of retro future vibes, ambient sounds to get you inspired. So make sure you check that out. Back to the deck. God is a Designer project overview. Let's do this. Contents page. Let me put contents page. Talked a little bit about the story. Already made a whole video on that, so not going to get into it. The brand itself. Shout out to Chris Do. This was actually at the Future HQ. The personality, creative, tech, futuristic, type focused, inspirational. Love that. That's the way to go. Customer profile. This is for all human beings. It's for everybody. But, you know, it's always good to sort of hone down at the kind of demographic that you're trying to reach. So male, educated culture, into creative, into futurism, to tech. So this is something that I really like, faith, fashion, and futurism. That's sort of the goal. I really like that. And the message is humans are created on purpose with a purpose. Mentioned that in the last video. The classic collection. The launch collection will feature classic wearables. Just focus on the phrase mark and the mantra itself. Okay, so let's jump into the actual concepts that we're not going to use, at least not for launch, and then we'll get into the actual launch collection. Sound good? Good. Let's do it. God is the Designer. I get this a lot when people comment on some of the pieces or some of the posts. They're like, hey, God is not a designer, he's the designer. Yes, he's the designer. He's also a designer. So, I mean, that was the sort of idea. This concept is 2 colors, 2 hits in the front, 2 hits in the back. I really love this sort of warped approach. The first time I saw something like this was with a brand called Anti-Social Social Club, and I thought it was such an interesting way to use their word mark. So I was messing around with doing something like this. Not that this necessarily will get printed, but I think the actual doodles and the marks that I made, that I put right on top of the actual typography, looks pretty fresh. I love it. When you pair numbers and words together, it just reminds me of those sort of analog futuristic kind of movies. So I used a lot of that throughout some of the concepts. So all right, concept number 2, that's a short sleeve. Nest Among the Stars. This is by far one of my favorite pieces, and actually got imagery from, I want to say, the library, Heritage Library. This is all royalty free, public domain kind of imagery. I cut this out in Photoshop and I saved it as a high resolution PNG, and I imported it into Illustrator. And the colors are just fire. You know, creation, this is something I'm gonna use in the future. Nest Among the Stars is based on a scripture, I think in the book of Amos. These 2 hits are just fire. I don't know, I like them a lot. And I have the file here. Let me show you what it looks like. So I mean, this is still actual text, it's not outlined or anything like that, but the way I did it here, I want to say, let me see, since I forget how I want to say I put one on top of the other. Yeah, so I put this on top of the actual branch, so it looks like it's sort of interlacing one with the other. This shirt would be full color. Would probably be more on the pricey end. The same woven label here. Let me show you what that woven label looks like, which is the Wire Earth, got as a designer, limited liability company. It's registered in Florida already. USA 2020. So kanji characters, and they all have, I have a list of different language that I'm using throughout. Some of it says Supreme Being, some of it says Creator, some of it says God as a designer, some of it says Creation. And I know there's different dialects of kanji, which is important. But you know, brands like Super Dry, as far as I understand, they just kind of put kanji characters together that says random words and stuff. So I'm not too worried about the exact translation. I think that Japanese characters along with English characters together, they work really well. I feel like the Japanese kanji characters, just for the lack of a better word, give it a lot more character, and it looks a lot more universal. And if you notice, a lot of these sort of futuristic cyberpunk movies, they use a lot of sort of Chinese or kanji characters throughout the artwork, throughout signage, throughout, you know, doors and things like that. Like I said, very retro future vibes, and I really love that. Nest Among the Stars. Okay, let's go to another one. This designer piece is probably one of my least favorite. This is the Chicago Bulls typeface, and I literally made this after seeing Last Dance, and I thought it would be fresh to do something sort of going across like this. Not really my favorite. I think the placement is interesting. Maybe push it lower, I'm not sure, but I know people will be like, hey, this is going across your belly. Maybe this is maybe goes across your back, but you know, that's the whole point. You got to break the rules sometimes, right? Let's go to the next thing. Along with Nest Among the Stars, this analog piece is also one of my favorite ones that I'm excited to make. This is a project called Boot Boys that does experimental apparel like this, and they actually put the inspo where they got it from. And I love just how messy it is and how it's all over the place. I got these sort of retro devices or retro analog communication pieces, and put these diagrams on here. This Zone A Sector 1 is specifically from Blade Runner. They referenced it in, I think, in the beginning of the movie. So I just love where this is going, and sort of how graphic design is visual communication. This is sort of what I was trying to convey here. This actual QR code works, and if you actually take a picture of it, it'll take you to the God as a Designer, I think, Instagram or the website. So put the links here. So I love this piece, and I can't wait to make something like this. The lavender with the sort of steel blue, it's super dope. So classic sweater, God as a Designer, but we're not gonna make it. And we got a woven label over here as well. This sweater, the Interplanetary Palette, I've always wanted to do something like this, and I always believe that as part of creation, as part of the universe getting created, the planets to me seemed like palettes. Like each planet has an element that the Earth has. So Earth has all these elements, but each planet has one of the, or a few of the elements that Earth has. So Earth is sort of a compilation of all these elements. So the way I see it is planet Earth is the final, and I like to think that God pulled these elements from all these other planets into Earth to create Earth. Not that that happened, but To me, it's just a palette of planets. So I really love this. I can't wait to make this one. And I got the sort of stars along the sleeve. This hit is super dope. So you'll notice that I love a lot of these things. I'm only showing you what I like, except maybe the designer piece. There are other concepts that didn't make it, but I don't have time to show you everything. Designer Oasis. This is a simple hoodie with a holographic hit in the front. I want more pieces like this that just says designer on it, which I really like. And some of the headwear. Classic snapbacks are going to make it, of course. This snapback we may make in the future. This quarantine together, it's got a little heart. And this is made out of different hearts. I'm not sure if I'll ever make this, but I like that concept. So these are the original concepts. Let's get into the Alpha Lunch concepts. I'm excited to show you. All right, classic collection. Here we go. All right, GIAD Classic. God is a designer. Got some language here based on the scripture Genesis 1:1. So this hit, if you notice, it's a little lower than usual. Usually you want to kind of put it by the pocket, which is a little bit more up here. Can't draw on it, but it's a little bit more up here along this side. But I wanted to put it a little lower. The same for here. Miami to LA, because this is a team up with Cristo. So Miami to LA, coast to coast. I love this. And this hit right here, it's just lower, sort of lower back, or mid to lower back, which works really well. Long sleeve, guys, you're not ready for this. So this will be a 3-inch patch. This patch is going to go right in the pocket side, and then you got a couple hits of silkscreen colors. So you got this gray 7543, the PMS gray, and then this I'm hoping to make the black sort of puff 3D black. Puff is like, you can kind of feel it, you know, when you put your hand over it, and it's a little protrudes a little bit, and I think it will work really well. The Creative Ops hoodie. So this hoodie is an evolution of the Arcadia 1981 hoodie, which I can show you. This hoodie, which is the one that Cristo was wearing in that other slide. This hoodie was directly inspired by our trip to Japan. This says Supreme being in the back. So because this is God is a designer, a standalone brand, decided to evolve it a little bit. And Creative Ops, this is what I'm sort of calling the team, Creative Operations, product of the United States of America. And this says future right here in kanji coming down. We got the globe and a few other elements back here. So I love this hit right here. The Alpha Protocol. What Alpha Protocol means is Genesis 1:1, so sort of beginning. Alpha means a beginning, right? So it's sort of the start of things. So I call it the Alpha Protocol because this is all about sort of creation or inspired by creation. So we get to the Covert Dad Hat, 3-inch wide patch. It's gonna go right in the front. We got to hit it on with embroidery white with the stars on the side. This artwork kind of evolved a little bit, and then we got a designer hit in the back. I'm actually gonna show you the tech pack for this. Because the tech pack is actually done, and I think you guys will dig it. Then the classic snapback. We got a creator beanie, which may or may not make it, and then we got the foot gloves. People seem to like the foot gloves. They're socks, guys, with a couple of hits right here. Okay, and then we got the stealth face mask. This is sort of up in the air. Not sure if I'm gonna make this, but there is a lot of interest in the face mask, especially with the sort of COVID situation. Not really sure if this is going to happen. I need to find a good vendor that makes quality masks, sort of like the official brand, which you saw in the actual, let's go back to it. The official brand, they make really good masks. Actually purchased one of these, and they're really high quality. So if I can get it high quality, then we'll make it. I just don't want a cheapy sort of mask, you know, it's got to feel premium. Okay, so these are these pieces. What I'll do is let me show you quickly the tech packs, and we'll wrap this up. Here we go. Let's double click. All right, so the purpose of a tech pack, you could technically Google it and you will get a lot better explanation than what I'm about to tell you. But tech pack is essentially a guide that you send to a vendor that tells you all the specs of said garment. So the top information is about the title of the piece and what it's for, the date, who designed it, you know, colorways and things like that. And then this side over here is about the fabric itself. So you got the type of item, fabric, stitching, taping, artwork, etc., etc., etc. So this is for the snapback, and you know, we got the hit in the front flat. We got a woven label in the back. The woven label in the back. Can't wait for you to see the artwork. It's next, and then we got it just sort of seam tape on the inside that I think will just kind of take it up a notch. And I'll put a reference here of just sort of material that I really like. And then we got the artwork side of it. You put the dimensions over here. You got an interior sweatband label, which, dude, come on, dog. I like this. I like the globe. I like the stars. And then we got the snap label that goes at the back. This is sort of mimicking the periodic table, the elements from the periodic table. So we got GD for God, designer. It's a sort of neat Easter egg for those that will get it. Then we got the interior seam that this is going to be duplicated. So this is for the snapback. And then for the actual dad hat, got the same, got the patch in the front, got the hit in the side, sort of the interior seams, same thing. We got a hit in the back, got the reference, and we got the sort of artwork here. And this is all flat. This is a patch. So here's the artwork that goes along with it. The goal is to make this as dummy proof as possible so that when you send this to a vendor, they get it done correctly. So take a screenshot of this, you know, reference it. I'm sure there are better tech packs out there on Google if you look for them, but this is a good sort of starting point if you're looking into getting started with apparel design. Those are the tech packs, the apparel concepts. You've seen everything so far. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the God is a Designer Alpha launch concepts, along with some other treats that I threw in there. So now I'll pitch it to Outro Angel, who's got some information for you. Angel, back to you.
Thanks, Angel, for the informative and thorough overview of the Alpha Launch concepts. Guys, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Won't hurt my feelings if you didn't. I'm still gonna print them anyway. Thanks again for checking it out. Like this video, gently tap that like button, share it with a friend, tag someone that you think will be interested in this. Keep making beautiful things, and I'll see you in the next part for the God is a Designer series. Excited for it. Love you guys. Peace. Computer clacking. Goodbye.